life for looking at how do I make a life worth living and a return worth having. But when people don't listen well, it's awfully difficult to go on in life, isn't it? You see, there are people who want to listen to harm other people, and those are the jackasses of our community. Then there are people who literally listen, they pray, they pause, and then they present their response to the person they're listening to. They don't reject what the person is saying, they don't display or disgrace what the person is saying, and they really think about it from that individual's perspective. But then there's truth, and there's things that are true. And the truth is we have laws of American culture and the international communities in which we serve and live within in the world that have laws that impact our lives. And when we have people and players in communities and church houses and organizations that don't know the law, and they look at you bewildered because you do, you just wonder what backwards, back-ass place they grew up in. Because as an American citizen, we are governed by the laws that we have. Our federally protected U.S. Constitution and all the amendments, and then all the federal laws that protect the privacy of our life, the medical records of our life, the mobility rights of our life, the civil rights of our life, and other aspects of our business and employment life. There's small business laws, there's advertising laws, there's different types of fraud laws, and there's also then employment laws, human resources laws, what you can and can't do on the job laws, and things specific to your industry, your craft, your trade, your career, your profession. Those laws give us the liberties of our life. And the liberties of our life say to us underneath those laws that we have the right to pursue life, liberty, and, well, happiness. Happiness to you may not be happiness to me, and happiness to me may not be happiness to you. But bottom line, underneath the international treaties, and one I cite quite often, of the basically Declaration of Human Rights, that 400 countries from the United Nations, which is an organization that is a nation we belong to and probably helped develop, basically signed into effect a treaty that says we have a heck of a lot of human rights. So when you try to debase someone, when you try to harass someone, when you try to sexualize someone, and when you try to take away technology and medical rights and other types of privacy from someone, you have just violated an international treaty. Congratulations. Congratulations. You've also probably violated a hell of a lot of federal laws that could get your entire job hung up in a slingshot out of that position and out of that pension. So, we've got to be careful of that. We are legally liable for knowing what goes on in our industry in terms of what are the industry standards and standard operating procedures of most organizations and companies in our profession, in our career life, in our career track, if you will. We are also legally liable, not at all, but it's a good idea to do, to look up the benchmarks of our profession, our industry. In other words, what's the best practices that are out there for our lives that we could do to improve not only our situation and how we feel about our employment, but also so we can really have a good life for not only you, but me and others too. That's liberties, right? So then within that construct, obviously, in order to live in America, we are a cash-based society. We do get upset when other people try to bring in coinage that's not ours, and it's probably illegal to do that, but it's been a long time since I've read that law. And bottom line, we might have Bitcoin coming into the community, but we don't have the right to use that over the US dollar. Now, credit card companies have sort of gotten around that because they're basically holdings for those dollars, but we'll not get into credit card fraud and credit card debt and all the stuff that brought about for our lives. But the bottom line is that every human being has the right to pursue a livelihood. That is an actual federal law. And people don't have the right to prevent them from trying to do that at all, because that then falls into discrimination problems. Discrimination laws, civil rights laws, you name it, all the things that the heritage of our great nation brought about over history and through wars and through scuttlebutt and through discussions and literally peace talks that brought our life to where we are today. Outside of making a living or a livelihood which pays for our shelter, our sustenance and food, and literally the services that we have to seek in order to have a life, and the entertainment that we would like to have each week so we can de-stress in life, there's of course that little concept called love. And love is that thing that we all want. Love is that thing that God wants us to have. And love is that thing that we do often with a loving partner who has chosen you. Now, who chooses me is not for you to say. who chooses you isn't really for me to say, unless, of course, they're going to be somehow aligned to my biology line. In other words, my family of origin. But I have experience with the fact that there are people I would have never liked to have in my biology of origin in terms of the marriage bed that literally I don't have in my life in terms of the family of choice going forward after I chose my life partner. And there are laws, of course, on marriage, and there's laws, of course, that relate to child rearing and child steering and child training and child education. So that's something marvelous we have to pay attention to. Beyond that, of course, the concepts of love we know is a very private thing. We've got folks who walk around the community who hold hands. We've got folks like I saw today of a gay couple literally kissing each other in the parking lot, and well, hey, that's where it goes. We also have people who are from international countries where families mooch on each other's cheeks, and we've all seen that in film. But what I'm talking about is the privacy of someone's intimate life, and that is nobody's business. None ya is what we like to say. That's none ya business, because the business of love belongs to the individual. The business of intimacy and lovemaking and sexuality belongs to the individual. If they choose to display it out like a flag, well, that's their own mistake in a way. Because what it says underneath that international human rights treaty and our federal laws, in fact, is that we have a right to pursue the development of a family. And how we choose to do that is up to us. So when people are bringing out all these things and trying to say people can't do this, they can't do this, they can't be this, they just screwed themselves and look stupidity. Looked like they moved themselves into stupidity, I should say, because the international human rights law trumps every federal law of the day, which trumps every state law that people try to put into government to sneak their ideas into things that is none of their business. And openly, it definitely overrides any local ordinances. Now, there are a few local ordinances that help to protect people in a community, and we appreciate that. But where we always have to go with regard to our rights and responsibilities as an American citizen or a visitor, say, to our country, is those federal and international treaties.